Good morning. It is 6:26 a.m. on Monday, October 2nd, 2017. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So I was planning to talk about Star Trek today, and I still am going to, but a brief scan of the headlines this morning. Horrible mass shooting in Las Vegas is just terrifying to contemplate, and of course, details are still coming out, but oh my God. So, I don't have a lot to say about a developing situation really, but other than, like my heart goes out to, the people affected and just, you know, how many times do we have to go through this before we can try to do more about it? I don't know that we would ever be able to stop them 100%, but I bet we could reduce their number. Anyway, Star Trek. And in this case, not really only the new Star Trek Discovery TV show, but the Orville, which I watched the first two episodes of um, yesterday. And so it's interesting because over the weekend I was actually also decided that as far as needing a new show to kind of have on in the background while I do other things, which is how I, watch some old shows, I decided, hey, you know what? Why not go through Deep Space Nine, which I never watched all of back in the day. And in fact, it's been so long since I've seen any of it that, most it's practically new to me. Even though I did, watch, I don't even remember how much back in the day, but certainly not since it was new. So it's been a while. And one of the things that occurred to me while I was watching some of it over the weekend was that how strange to think about there being a time during those first few seasons of Deep Space Nine where we had two Star Trek shows on TV at the same time. But that thought kind of came back to me when I was watching The Orville because it kind of feels like we have two Star Trek shows on TV at the same time. The Orville on Fox, Seth MacFarlane's show, was marketed as being just like a Star Trek parody, which I guess I can understand only in the sense that I don't. This seems like it would be a difficult show to market, and certainly with Seth MacFarlane's involvement, I think people would expect it to be that, but it's really not. It has what the Orville feels like based on the first two episodes, and from what I've heard from other people about it, um, is that it feels like watching old Star Trek: The Next Generation episodes with your fellow Star Trek fan on the couch next to you, and you give the episode kind of sarcastic commentary as you watch, but you're watching because you love it. You're just adding your own little wry meta commentary onto it. And it's interesting because I hadn't really been planning to watch it when I thought it was just a straight parody. And honestly, it was the people watching it telling me, no, it's actually pretty earnest. It has some juvenile humor in it, but the humor is actually not about making fun of Star Trek. The show seems to actually want to be a Star Trek show, just with the balance being a little more humor than the original, than Star Trek had. But just a lot of it's fairly serious, and um, I, it's surprising, but boy, I kind of dig it. So we'll see how it continues to develop. I've been told that episodes 3 and 4 are even better than 1 and 2, so I'm looking forward to that. Definitely going to keep watching. Because it very much feels like it feels like Star Trek: The Next Generation, but with a little bit of what we know now as opposed to what we knew then veneer over it. Just like a little bit more meta commentary. People act a little bit more like 21st century people. And, just things like the you know, one of the helm officers asking, "Is it okay to have soda on the bridge?" Just little things like that. Where there's slight parody elements, it's just kind of like they bring the hostile alien up on the view screen, but he's not standing in the center of the viewer. It's just like, he comes up and he's like this, and the captain just like, I can't focus. Can you just stand like, take one step to your right? That stuff's kind of silly, but I don't know, I dig it. So on the other hand, we also have Star Trek Discovery, which is a very different Star Trek show. They're trying to reinvent the formula, do all sorts of new things. They're obviously taking on influences from especially based on this third episode. There's a lot of influence from The Expanse, and I think that they're taking some Battlestar Galactica in there too. And that is an interesting different direction for it too. And in fact, this last episode, the one that was just last night, I won't spoil anything about it except just to say that I think it's considerably darker in terms of not for kids than any other Star Trek show I've ever seen. It's kind of surprising. I didn't expect that necessarily, but I'm intrigued. There's an interesting layer of mystery to it. And like I said, it feels very much like The Expanse, which is not a complaint because I liked The Expanse. And so it's kind of interesting, like I said, to be in a position where it's like we have two Star Trek shows on TV, even if one of them is not, nominally Star Trek. It's just one of them very much evokes the spirit of classic Trek, with again just a little bit more of a spit shine of humor on it. And the other is taking actual Trek in a new direction, which we haven't really seen it do before. And I don't know, I'm happy to have both. So I will, gotta get moving this morning, and I'll talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes. Luna's woofing at me. I'll talk to you tomorrow for 5 more minutes. She's doing good, by the way.